Okay. Yeah, well.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Eastern Delaware County Joint Recreation District. Can I get a roll call, please?
First order of business, let's do the oath of office.
Yes, sorry.
We could.
Since Ms. Greiger's term, she was just reappointed for a term of January 12th through December 31st, 2028. We're going to go ahead and do the oath of office again. So if you can raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Jody Greiger, do hereby solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the laws of the United States of America
that I will support the laws of the United States of America
and the state of Ohio,
and the state of Ohio,
to faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge my duties
to faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge my duties as a member of the Eastern Delaware County Joint Recreation District
as member of the Eastern Delaware County Joint Recreation District
for the duration of my term in office.
for my duration of my term in office.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Right, congrats.
Go ahead and sign it and
My pen is donezo. Thanks.
you also sign.
Yep.
Feel free to that.
All right. Right now, I think we're ready for a roll call.
All right, Miss Watson,
Here.
Mr. Coy here, Miss Greiger,
Here.
Mr. Elliott is absent. Mr. Muzacchio here, Miss Sabata.
Here.
5 present, we have a quorum.
All right, the next item on the agenda is consideration of the minutes from our last meeting on December 1st, 2025 regular meeting. So everyone had a chance to review the minutes? All right, any discussion? All right, I'll take that as a no. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Muzacchio,
Yes.
Miss Watson,
Yes.
Miss Sabata,
Yes.
Miss Greiger,
Yes.
Mr. Coy.
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
Okay, that then moves us to the public comments portion of our meeting. Is there anyone here who'd like to make a public comment?
If you could, there's a form there for you to fill out. So when you're done, I'll help you fill it out.
Yeah, and Daryl, if you can help me out, I believe our policy asks that we keep comments to 3 minutes. Yes. All right, thank you.
Hi, my name's Ed Valeska. I live in Harlan Township. I serve as a volunteer on our township's park planning committee, answerable to our trustees. I received an email from the village of Galena with their latest newsletter and heard about this group for the first time. And I said, whoa, that's cool. And coincidentally, I also saw all the activity down in New Albany where they're building a new community center. So one to the south of us, and it looks like there'll be one to the north of us. So I'm here tonight to find out more of what you have in mind. 3 entities involved: Berkshire, Sunbury, and Galena, as I understand it. Question, maybe just a basic introduction, if you don't mind, not to swerve you too much away from your agenda, but how long you've been in existence and what have you been doing to this point? And where do you stand on this community center idea? That's all. Oh, look, the reason I'm asking these questions, our township is putting together a strategic planning document. And we've been asked to project what kind of recreational and park facilities, activities we think we'll need in the township. And so this affects that. If you're right next door, maybe we could avail ourselves. So there you have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, if you could just fill out your name, your contact information. Yes.
yeah, and just to briefly answer your question, which, I think you'll hear further as we get on, as it relates to our other agenda items, as we were formed in April of last year. And we have been in the process of, kind of doing a market needs analysis and, needs assessment and a market analysis, which is the next item on our agenda. So, it's not quite. The next item on our agenda is unfinished business, which includes the project update.
Yeah, and we can help direct you to a website with some additional information about the work that the Detroit Recreation District has done up to this point. So, so I was going to provide an update on where the consulting team is on the needs assessment and market analysis. So since our last meeting, the meeting of this group, we've had two working sessions with the team. A lot of the early focus was on identifying the stakeholders to be a part of the youth organization focus groups. We did, with the help of the members, thank you. We did identify approximately, I think it's 18 individuals that we had invited to be a part of the stakeholder discussions, focus group discussions. We scheduled two stakeholder discussions. The second one was scheduled for today. The first one was last week. Nobody signed up to be a part of the first one, so that one got canceled. We did have a good 2-hour conversation with, I think it was about 7 individuals from the list during today's call. I know the consulting team will be putting its notes together on that, and hopefully we'll be able to share that with you. But what they did ask is for each organization to talk a little bit about who they were, what their projections are in terms of how many athletes or individuals are participating in their youth activity, what they think the future looks like in terms of the number heading forward, just a little bit about what spaces they were using today and what needs they had going forward. I will say that I do think there was some consistency in the responses in terms of priorities of needs. A lot of the individuals indicated that, lighted fields was kind of key to their ability to move forward because there's such limited space with respect to outdoor fields and what have you. So a lot of the group today focused really on the outside fields. We did talk a little bit about, interior courts and those types of things, but not a lot of participants on the call today about that. But again, so lighted fields and turf fields, because, the turf fields actually, not just are they, they extend the season. They allow you to get out there earlier and, and obviously not have to play in the conditions of whatever the weather might dictate. So those seem to be two of the key points that were raised during that session. There was a lot of discussion about kind of the importance of having these fields next to a community center. I think it was a little split in terms of whether or not it was critical that they be next to the community center. But they did indicate that it was important that they have restroom facilities near these fields and pavilion space near these fields as well. So wherever that might be. The other thing that since then the focus group has also been working closely on setting up the second public meeting. So I think at our last meeting we had talked about that next public session. You will see on the agenda for the next meeting, I've indicated, at least as a placeholder, February 11th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. That is a time that works for the consultant to do the second public hearing or public meeting. We have secured the Sunbury United Methodist Church, their larger space for that meeting. So, it holds whatever up to 200, 300 people, something like that, which I know was important to this group to do that. So that date and time have been secured with them as well. And it is consistent with how we scheduled the last session as well. It's the second Wednesday of the month. So hopefully, the conflicts will be somewhat limited on that point. So they will schedule an activity for that session. Primarily what they're looking to focus on is they'll provide an update on where the community survey results are. At this point, we have almost 1,400 responses to the community survey. So that is an incredible response. So a summary of the community survey results. I'll provide the more detailed results to the entire group, but they're working on a summary document. They'll also then focus on an activity that engages people in a discussion about programming the community center, what should be in there, how much space is required to accommodate all of the programming needs, and then finally to focus on site criteria. So not specific sites, although that has been a question that was a part of the survey, is they did kind of break up the JRD into a series of zones. So they do have some feedback from that, but really what criteria is most important in terms of where to site the community center. So near schools, for example, near multi-use trails, is it off of, a major roadway? I mean, kind of what would be the key criteria that the community would be looking for, when it comes to identifying the site. The final thing I would note that's happened since our last meeting, we did do a tour of the Upper Arlington Community Center as well. So just as a reminder, that's more of a vertical space than the other community centers that we've looked at. I think there's a mezzanine in it, which kind of affects the number of floors, but I think they've got 4 to 5 floors. It depends on how you count the mezzanine level. A couple of interesting points out of that, I think, is it's an $85 million project, not kind of the scale that I think we would probably anticipate in our community. But what's important, I think, to note is that a quarter of the financing for this project was either provided by cash from the political jurisdiction, in this case, the city of Upper Arlington, and donations that were made to support it. The rest of the facility was financed with tax increment financing from other projects elsewhere in the city. So, and a different model of financing than some of the other community centers that we went out and looked at already. So, like the city of Hilliard, the Upper Arlington Community Center is staffed by city staff. So that's, I think, an important point, as opposed to a third party or contract provider for staff support. The city staff is responsible for managing their facility. One of the key things that they noted about the success of their community center is its accessibility to schools. They found that, it's a different kind of community, and it's pretty compact, but this is also very closely located to where the high school is. And as a result of that, they have a lot of youth participation in their community center as kids after school are coming to the community center for activities. They did minimize their aquatics. So if you go in there, you would see what's a relatively small aquatics facility, but that's because their high school has an aquatic facility. So, and then the other final point I guess I've got here is that fitness space. So they do have substantially more space for fitness equipment, cardio, and weight equipment than maybe some of the other facilities that we've been to. And their multi-purpose unit rooms, I think, tended to be larger than some of the others that we had seen. So, so a different model, obviously, and again, not necessarily. We went there with the idea of thinking about what are they programming in that center, maybe more so than kind of how the center function or operates necessarily. But still, I think we got some useful information out of, again, the financing of it, the functionality of it, what have you. So, anyway, so those are the kind of the key activities that have been happening with the consulting team in the last month or so. So, questions, comments?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a couple questions. So with the funding model, did they pass any new taxes, or did they just use existing?
Yeah, so what they're saying is that So a tax increment financing, I mean, they did it on a multi-story residential structure, two structures that are near the community center. So you could argue that that was a commercial TIF, but also had a residential component to it. So that's a little tricky because, you know, anytime a TIF basically redirects property taxes away from the other taxing jurisdictions. In this particular case, schools are the largest recipient of property taxes. So you got to be real careful when you do that against when there's a residential component to it. But the residential components here were mostly senior housing, so they didn't anticipate it was going to impact the schools that much. So those were kind of sort of two key pieces of it. So that doesn't go to the voters for approval. That can be done by legislative action. And then they told me they had some other TIFs around the city as well, and they just consolidated their TIFs. Those other, I don't know what the other TIFs were in the city that already existed, but yeah, it did not go to the voters. It was also important to them that they had set up a structure in their minds where the cost recovery model based on memberships and fees and what have you would pay for the operations of it. I didn't really get into a discussion about whether or not those fees fully fund the staff or whether they're just funding the programming activities, because Hilliard had that same kind of conversation going on. Hilliard funded theirs in a different way, but the funding model in Hilliard, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it funds the staff as well as the operations of the facility, but they went to the voters for a tax increase. And again, I can't remember if it was an income based or whether it was a property tax based. I can check my notes on that. So.
I had another question about the participants and the focus groups that we did with people with the sports, with the youth sports organizations. I suppose 7 out of 18. I guess I would have liked to seen a little bit more engagement. And I'm not sure, you know, what that means in terms of what sports were represented and what weren't. I just know the people that I know who are involved with youth sports, you know, they have their day jobs and then they're already volunteering for the youth sports organizations. And then to try to fit one of our meetings in might be kind of asking a lot. So is there any other plans to try to reach out to any of those people?
Yeah, we talked about that at the end. We would have another conversation about how to reach out to the group. So we had representatives from football, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, cheer, boosters. Yeah, I think those were the organizations. We did reach out to, in addition, so we did reach out to girls basketball, baseball, softball, theater, hockey, wrestling. I did not hear from those groups. So again, we'll continue to find other ways. And we talked to this particular group about it because, I mean, they know a lot of the other individuals as well. And you know, they said that they would mention to them that, you know, whatever was going on. But again, there'll be other opportunities for outreach, but we did specifically talk about maybe another run at the non-attendees to see if we could find a way to get their feedback. But the conversation with the you know, with those who were in the room or were part of the call, and it was a virtual meeting. You know, it was great. And like I said, there was a fair amount of consistency in the response from the group. So I do think in many ways it was representative of needs, except for the fact that there were not a lot represented who had the, you know, inside facility needs as much as sort of the outside in the field facilities. But
yeah, and that's something I'm a little worried about hearing, that they just want fields, where I think fields are, they're a cost, but I think they're a lesser cost than the actual building itself. So we want to really focus and try to find those groups that will be using the facilities, indoor facilities, because that's where a lot of the money is and a lot of the planning will have to go to. So I know I heard theater. What other non-sport groups have we engaged?
well, we tried to do the youth groups. So yeah, so we, you know, that was a call out to. So if you've got other youth groups that you think you know, we want to be reaching out to, please let us know that. But the other point I think I would make is this as well, is that, and I think we've talked a little bit about this as a group. I mean, the community center is one thing that a joint recreation district can do. You can do more than just a community center. We've started with a community center as a discussion, but you may find that, you know, the community needs are such that, okay, in addition to a community center, we need to find a way to provide field space as well. Maybe those two can't be co-located. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But it doesn't mean that, the community center is the only thing that you can do. So I guess, and then that was part of the point I think I was conveying to this group, because I think they wanted to know that. I think that in their minds, they sort of think that it's sort of an all or nothing. Yeah, I have to get it in now or it doesn't happen. And that's not true. I mean, a joint recreation district will exist for many, 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 many years and can provide many, 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 many services. So.
Going back to Bob Crane real quick, what is the population that Bob Crane serves with respect to Arlington? Roughly.
Oh, now you're going to test my memory here a little bit. Is Arlington? Well, I don't know. We could probably look up Arlington pretty
So
quick.
it's just up Arlington.
Oh yeah, it's just up Arlington.
Okay.
Mhm. They did say that their memberships were significantly higher than they anticipated, but they also just opened, and so there's kind of a rush of early people signing up. But what they have also again found is that a lot of families have joined because their kids have been basically going to the center afterwards, and initially they were paying a daily. They were doing the kind of the daily pass, and a lot of parents I think eventually realized, oh no, they're going to kind of go there a lot. So they found out that they got a lot of memberships that way that they didn't really anticipate. The vast majority of their membership. So unlike I think Westerville and Hilliard, where they have a sizable percentage of their members that are not in that political jurisdiction, Arlington has not found that at all. In fact, their numbers outside the jurisdiction are so low that they're well below their original projections, but their resident population has exceeded their original projections. Yeah.
Any further discussion? All right, well, that takes us to the new business portion of our agenda. The first item there is resolution number 2026-01, a resolution providing for the acquisition of insurance. Mr. Engel, if you want to walk us through that.
Of course. This resolution is similar to the resolution that was adopted last year for the acquisition of insurance. The board has insurance through the Ohio plan through September 12th of this year. So this simply will authorize the either renewal or additional procurement of a different plan if that's what the board would choose come September. We recommend adopting a resolution specifically for authorizing the acquisition of insurance each year, just like we do the annual budget.
Discussion? All right, I will move to approve resolution number 2026-01.
I'll second it.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Ms. Savada,
Yes.
Mr. Musacchio,
Yes.
Ms. Greiger.
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
All right, that takes us to resolution number 2026-02, which is a resolution adopting a cybersecurity policy. So again, Mr. Engel, if you can walk us through that one, please.
Continuing the conversation about additional state mandated paperwork. The Ohio General Assembly in its last session put into law that all political subdivisions are required to have cybersecurity programs. Since the Joint Recreation District does not maintain any systems of its own, essentially that's the adoption of the policy that we have proposed before you. That has to be adopted by the end of June. So we wanted to bring it forward for your consideration. The policy is attached to the resolution as Exhibit A. And it is a combination of statewide associations model policy, and then also the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center NIST Cybersecurity Framework Information Security Policy. to really provide an overview of cybersecurity best practices to be compliant for audit purposes when the state should choose to audit the requirement to have a cybersecurity program. The highlight that I'll make of the policy is that the state law requires if there's a ransomware attack or a cybersecurity incident, that those incidents have to be reported to the Ohio Department of Homeland Security and the Ohio Auditor of State. So the policy would require that any future vendor contracts have to, those vendors, if they underwent a similar cybersecurity incident where any of the JRD's information was jeopardized, that they would have to report that incident to you so that you can then report it to the state. And the resolution contemplates designating a security representative or ISO to be that point of contact in any kind of cybersecurity emergency situation. So the ISO, the designated security representative, can be any board member, any non-board member, really just serving as a point of contact in the small chance that there would be a cybersecurity incident with respect to the district at this time.
So since we don't maintain any of our own systems, I mean, what does that really mean for us? And that's all maintained by the city of Sunbury, correct? So is it basic, like, we would adopt the policy, but then most of it's not applicable? I mean, okay. Because when I was reading through it over the weekend, when I was reading things about responsible for evaluating and accepting risk on behalf of the district, that seemed like something outside of my competency. So I was trying to figure out who is responsible for that.
Yeah, the district doesn't have.
No, I was just going to say, and so the city of Sunbury has adopted a cybersecurity policy. We've also contracted with a third-party vendor to help us do some programming activity around it as well, primarily monitoring of our systems, also some education for staff, so that they are anybody who has a City of Sunbury email account. But they're also going to do a risk assessment for us as well and identify where I'm sure we've got some gaps that we need to fix, and so we've again contracted with somebody to help us do that.
So can we piggyback off of what the city is doing?
No, I guess what I was saying, what I'm thinking is, I mean, while the system is sitting with us, that we have a cybersecurity policy and we have this program that we've put in place. But you as a board, I think, still have an obligation to have your own policy. And that's.
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, under state law, if you're a political subdivision, you need to have a policy, whether or not you actually have hardware or software.
I was just trying to provide some comfort in knowing that where your data sits right now is at least got some.
Who's the rep for Sunbury?
Our director of finance at the moment.
So looking at the future though, the goal is for us to host our own website and house our own information. So we would need to have some kind of policy on that, even though right now we may not have anything. We still need to do something with it. But you said we have to adopt this by the end of June, correct? So we could sit on it for a while, or what do you recommend right now?
You could, if you would like to take further time to analyze the policy, you can do that. Or you can adopt the policy you have before you and amend it at any point in time.
Okay.
Just for audit purposes, it would be good to ensure that the policy was in place by the deadline so that when the state auditors would next come to ask about whether or not you had adopted a policy, you can show that you have one in place by the time that they wanted it in place.
Sure. By adopting this, we would need to have an ISO, somebody who's in charge of the point person.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we know if we can use your Sunbury's ISO? Is that an option for us?
Well, I wouldn't use the Sunbury ISO. I mean, I would use me before I'd use the ISO.
Okay.
But I don't know. Having said this, we do have somewhat of an expert on your team here. Bernie, I'm looking at you. I said somewhat of an expert. I didn't say you were an expert at it. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it. I mean, it's something we have to talk
Obviously, we
about.
would work together.
Sure, and we have to talk about website hosting things, everything else, the future, what the next year looks like. Right. So, yeah, I mean, the odds are low, but you need to have something in place.
So I hear a volunteer for ISO.
That's fine. I will be volunteer.
And I'm sorry, Mike, I hate to put you on the spot, but could you just kind of point me to the language where that, like, it only applies if we are housing our own systems? Did I understand you correctly on that?
So state law requires that you have a policy,
Yeah.
whether or not you have your own system.
Okay.
So there's really no risk currently for the district because you
Okay,
don't have
okay.
any hardware or
Yeah.
software.
That's what I was looking for.
Even if you're, political subdivision, then there are some political subdivisions that are simply subdivisions on paper, and they're really pass-through entities for financial money or transactions. They're even required to have policies in place, even though it's usually a city or a township that is actually receiving the money that's going through a pass-through entity. It was probably written a little overbroad so that the state could hopefully get as much information as possible about cybersecurity incidents.
Sorry, it took me a minute to absorb that, but I think I understand now.
You'd like to purchase that first laptop. Bernie will be on the hook then.
Do we want to move forward? Or do you want to table it because Greg's not here, or till next meeting, or are we comfortable?
I'd like to read this a little closer before accepting. There's a lot of information here.
We'll make we have to table it.
Well, I don't,
Make a formal motion table.
Okay.
We'll make a motion to table resolution. What is it? 2026-02 till the next JRD meeting. Do we know when that is yet? We do.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that. You can just table it at the moment and we'll.
I'm sorry, Todd, you made the motion?
Yes.
I second.
All right, Mr. Muzakio,
Yes.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Ms. Greiger,
Yes.
Ms. Sabata.
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved to table. Okay. So we'll have that on a future agenda before the deadline.
But just to be clear then, so if we pass the resolution at the same time, we would also be appointing an ISO.
Correct. Yeah, the resolution provides for the designation.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Thank you. All right, so that takes us to the next item on our agenda, which is the annual election of officers. So we're kind of in I think a unique position just because we were formed mid-year last year. Well, not quite mid-year. We were formed in April of last year. Our bylaws indicate that officers' positions are are for 1 year, and then we have a meeting where we elect new officers. But I think, as we move forward, that could get a little strange to have April election of officers when people's terms end up or terminate in December. So I think that's why most public offices or public agencies do their election of officers at the first meeting of the year. So we could wait till April. I think it's an option for us to do it now. I would say that Greg wasn't able to come. I know he is our current treasurer. I had reached out to try to see if he would be if he'd be willing to be treasurer again, and I didn't hear back. So I don't really like being in a position where, and I think Greg took some special training for purposes of being the treasurer. I don't want to elect him to something if he's not here, and I don't want to not have him have the opportunity. So I think my suggestion would be to also table this discussion until at least the next meeting.
So for moving forward though, we would have the election in February, and then in 2027, the goal is to have it in January again to try to align with the a lot with
That makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
everything else. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would make sense.
As long as the whole board is aligned on the re-election of officers, you can conduct that election whenever you would choose, but at least annually.
Okay. Need a motion for that, or we? It's not legislation, so.
Would you like a motion to table the elections?
Doesn't hurt. I'll make a motion to table the elections until election of officers until our regular February meeting, not the public meeting.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, the second was Mr. Coy. All right, Ms. Watson,
Right, so that's, oh, yes.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Ms. Sabata, Mr. Mazzacchio,
Yes.
and Ms. Gregor.
Yeah.
5 yeas, motion tabled. Okay,
So that takes us to the information portion of our agenda. I had an update. I think Ms. Gregor was wanting some information. I don't know if anybody else would like to go first, or Daryl, if you have anything.
I was just wondering about the website. Last meeting, if I recall, it was
yep,
in the process, and then it was the secretary who's taken it over, which is me. So I was just wondering
yes.
where we are with that. Just say anything.
Yeah, so, no, you didn't miss anything.
Okay.
On that, so I apologize for that. I guess I did not send you then the URL then, apparently. Okay. So the staff member who was assisting me with that is unfortunately out of the office since for an extended period of time. So that's
Okay.
unfortunately it fell through the cracks. Let me get on that again and get that out to you. So at the moment, it's just a landing page. It's really all it's going to be at this point. Mr. Coy has reached out to me about trying to build that out a little bit more, and I'd indicated to him that the staff resource that would helping me do that is not available at the moment. So I need to probably move a little bit slower on that than we'd hoped. But at a minimum, you need to know where the landing page is so people can, and so that we can promote it as well. You can promote it as well. So
So
I
your
get that.
Sunbury is gonna manage that, not necessarily us. Like you said.
Well, I mean, we've set it up. We set it
Yeah.
up with a URL that can be transferred. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, that will be transferred to the JRD.
Okay, and then we can.
Yeah,
work on
and
it.
then we talked about, making sure people who had the administrative rights associated with it, what's kind of the process for adding information. At the moment, again, it documents it captures the documents that we've approved up to this point. It's got the minutes of prior approvals. It also links you back to the videos. So again, it's all try to confine in one or consolidated into a single location. I just need to get you the information about where it is.
Okay,
So again, we can kind of help promote it.
What I was gonna say is, at a certain point, it comes to the JRD, whether it be in a couple of months or next week, it has to happen at some point. I wouldn't be opposed to having it, to work on it instead of it sitting idle, because it is kind of to me, it's an important thing to disseminate our information, uniformly and concisely. So if need be, I can volunteer to help with the website and all that. I mean, I do it on my own for my company, but, and if anybody else wants to help, they can help as well. So I don't want to burden you or
Right,
Sunbury.
I was gonna say, unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to help you much with that. So if you're okay with Mr. Coy kind of taking that lead, I'll be happy to kind of do what I can to get you as the administrative rights so that you can begin to kind of shape that a little bit more. Okay.
And you're managing it? Who's managing the website in the end?
I think maybe we would both do that right now.
Okay.
Whatever we
Kind
want.
of work
That's
together.
future ISO.
Yeah.
Future ISO, right?
You can read the policy and then decide who wants to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, are we finished with that topic?
Think so?
And I just had information to share about Galena's share of our budget. I heard that that last week Galena voted on their budget, which included Galena's portion of our total budget of $10,000, and that was approved.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. So are we ready to talk about when our next meeting will be?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. So, so like I said, I got on here the special meeting, or at least the town hall meeting. Now, the last time we did this, we treated this like it was a meeting because all of the members were going to be in attendance. We won't be able to record this meeting. It'll be at a location where it doesn't have that kind of capability. But if we think we will have a quorum of members, then, you know, we need to schedule that as a special meeting of the JRD, which I assume is where we're headed, but you tell me.
I'll be there.
Me too.
Now, one of the things you mentioned here, we won't be able to record it. I believe there's a gentleman in our community that does a lot of videography and photography. Would it be possible to have them set up the recording for this? I think it'd be helpful to disseminate it after the fact. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be.
if you want to reach out to, I think I know who you're talking about. If you want to reach out to him about doing that, and then he can contact me about just the logistics. Okay.
So then we need a regular meeting.
Well, we don't need a regular meeting. But I did have down a note. I think we should schedule our next regular meeting, whether that next meeting is in May or March. Because if we don't, we're going to miss an opportunity for the full group to kind of figure out what date it wants to meet on. So, and as far as business is concerned, I have asked the consultant to help me understand what's the next step. Because they're set to deliver their final report to you sometime in the March or April timeframe. So I wanted to get something moving in terms of next steps, which again, we've budgeted for what we believe to be, I think, maybe some conceptual drawings of a space, and also to do some estimating of what the cost might look like, in preparation for the potential of going before the voters at the end of the year. It's very tight, but that's why I'm trying to get an understanding of what that scope needs to look like so we can get something out on the street. I don't have that yet.
Okay. Now, I know they mentioned having it done by March, so slipping to April, I'd be wary, because I think we discussed last year about the timeline and everything else associated with it. We were tight in March.
Yeah,
Can't slip.
definitely. Yeah, no, they're telling me that it's going to be March. I'm just telling you that I know that they're trying to do at least, this February discussion and at least one other sort of public engagement. And now that other public engagement in March, I think, is to get back in front of this board with its findings, and that, and to invite the public to kind of be a part of that. I think that's the plan, but I still need to work out the details of that. We've been focused on the community meeting more so than the kind of what the final report looks like at this point.
So is there really a need for a regular meeting between now and when we get the report?
I mean, I don't think I've got business for you between now and then.
For elections.
Well, again, you're good till April.
So we could do the next election of officers well, I mean, we want to go till April?
Oh, no, I wasn't recommending.
March.
Yeah.
We'd have to have another meeting in March, other than that fine third meeting,
Yeah.
which we don't know when that's gonna be. But if we set a meeting in March for us,
If nothing else, we could do set a date in March and
Right.
set a date in April. If it turns out there's nothing to talk about in March, we don't move forward.
right? I think we should, that's a good idea. So set something in March.
So it looks like we've been kind of at the second week.
So the 9th, does this time work?
I have no schedules for any
Neither do I.
spring related, so it's just kind of a,
It looks like I'm open.
but yeah, I'm open as of now.
Yeah.
Wait, what day did you say? 9th?
March 9th, Monday.
I can do that day too. Do you want to go back to 6 o'clock or you want to stay at 7 or? Because we were doing 6. No? Jody,
Say 6 now and then it'll turn out that I should have said 7 to get the schedule, but I don't think it doesn't much matter to me.
I don't have any conflicts.
Okay, we'll say
is it
6.
okay, Daryl, for?
Either's fine, 6 or 7.
No.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, no.
In my head, that I was not gonna do it.
Okay, and then,
So March 9th at 6 PM
mhm,
here at Sunbury.
works for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, April. Think, well, April 6th is the week of spring break, so I know that's not gonna work for me. I imagine it won't work for a lot of people. I'm gonna look at the week of the 13th.
Yeah, let's do
Monday again.
Monday the 13th. I can do Monday the 13th.
We wanna say 6 PM again?
Can you do Monday the 13th?
Yes. Okay.
All right, and how about, given that we've got enough time, let me reach out to Berkshire and see if maybe the 13th, they'll host the meeting on the 13th.
Okay.
So we'll put it TBD for the time being, but I'm gonna reach out to Berkshire.
Okay, when we tabled motions, I think to be safe for the next meeting, I hope we didn't specify for a February meeting since there won't be one.
Next regular meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, anything further?
I think, as we look ahead, Mr. Ringgold, I believe your firm is putting something together for getting on the ballot. If March does not happen and April happens, how realistic is it that we're going to meet the actual ballot of November? And that's going to throw a wrench into things. I mean, I believe
All the filings need to be completed by August. And there will be 2 resolutions, a resolution of necessity, another resolution, and in between those resolutions being adopted, information will need to be communicated to the county auditor's office and received back. So that usually you need to build in a month.
Yeah, so they're not doing any work at the moment, but part of what we talked about when we were doing the budget was that,
Right.
if we needed legal services to get on the ballot, that we've got money in the budget for that purpose.
Yeah.
But it's also then if at the end of the day, if it is financed and successfully financed, that's an expense that can get covered with the bond proceeds. So, but again, we haven't asked them to go down that path yet.
no.
Because there's still, a lot of work to be done here.
And then we are not allowed to promote this initiative. Is that correct? We need to find a community group that does this for us. Should we want to go on the ballot?
Yeah. Due to auditor state guidance about political subdivisions using political subdivision funds for promoting levies being impermissible, it's recommended that you have a campaign committee. So if you have neighbors, or if any of the political subdivisions know of other people who are potentially expressed an interest in potentially serving on the board, or volunteer committees of the different political subdivisions, any of those groups could informally help with a levy campaign. You'll likely want to set up a separate campaign committee as well that would be for promoting levy, similar to, say, the Friends of the Library.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right, anything further?
Thanks.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Ms. Watson,
Yes.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Ms. Greiger,
Yes.
Mr. Muzakio,
Yes.
Ms. Savada.
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.